And I'm back. Pete, your host of The Professional Permaculture Designer, is who I am. I'm happy that you joined me today. We're going to be continuing the discussion on taking radical responsibility for your business and how that unfolds to create the life that you're looking to lead by making decisions in the present moment that are based on reality and how your life is actually unfolding based on past decisions so you can make new decisions moving forward, and accepting that with love for yourself, with appreciation, and accepting where you're at right now so that you can truly see what's going on and move forward in a clear way. Check out the webinar event that we've got going on February 13th here in the group. Dan and I will be walking through the natural capital plant database that Dan and some other great designers helped to create for our use as ecological professionals. And reach out to me if you're interested in talking about monetizing your business, finding the right clients, pricing, getting everything in order for a sales and marketing system that works for you, that's really easy to perpetuate and make sure that you've got consistent leads and sales coming in your permaculture design business. I want to see more permaculture design in the world. I want you to be able to have that fulfilling life you're looking for, and really make some change happen that is so needed right now. So today, I'll be talking about marketing and sales. So if you're not selling your services, why is that? Well, it's probably something you're doing and not the people that you're approaching. It all starts with us and the approach that we're taking. If you're not talking with the right people, that's because of a decision that you made to not get in front of the right people, and maybe you don't know how to start doing that. That's something that we could talk about as well if you want to leave a comment or send me a PM. But it really starts with understanding who you're trying to serve and offering the right service to those people, knowing what your target market is, the people that you really want to be working with, and who actually falls within it. But that doesn't mean that you're just sitting at home in your living room going, who is my target market? Because I did that for years, you guys, and I didn't get anywhere because I was just basing it off this imagined idea of who might want permaculture design. And yes, there are some great avenues to go down, such as people who are already interested in native landscapes, people who like vegetable gardening, finding interest groups in the community, garden clubs, places where people are already interested in some aspect of permaculture or landscaping, actually being involved in their garden versus just paying somebody else to do it for them. That's where we're going to start to find the people who are interested in this more hands-on experiential aspect of working with their landscapes and getting more value out of it by having a permaculture design rather than just some pretty stand of euonymus and hydrangea and hostas, right? Blah. So who actually falls within your target market? You're going to understand this more as you talk with more people. And what's better marketing than just networking with people and having them know who you are, having an enjoyable conversation about shared interests and letting them know what you do. You don't have to necessarily start with a crystal clear idea of what the service you offer is, but you're also not necessarily going out into the world saying, I offer this thing, who wants it? Because, pardon my French or language, no one cares about your shiny shit. No one cares about the actual service you're offering. Yeah, like I do permaculture design. I personally do edible and native landscape design, but not everyone's looking for that. Maybe they're actually looking for, like I said before, getting their kids out into the garden. Like Chris, who's in Tennessee, is working with somebody right now who just really wants to have a beautiful ecological landscape, a forageable landscape for their young child to grow up in. Like, what better childhood than that for your kids to have that connection with nature, for people to be able to unplug? Maybe that's what they want, and you're only going to find that out by talking to real people. You can't figure out your marketing and your messaging just by crafting something out of thin air, because you're actually going to be talking to yourself, and you'll probably end up thinking that your target market's other people like you, but it's not necessarily. There's a lot of education that goes into being a permaculture designer in this day and age, because we're at the very beginning of permaculture becoming a mainstream solution. Ecological landscaping, edible, native landscapes, where we're just stacking the functions and they're more useful landscapes, which is really what it comes down to, and that's how it can be marketed. But you have to understand what about that increased function in the landscape is something that somebody's really excited about and is willing to invest in. to the extent where you actually have a business and not just a hobby. So knowing that you'll find your market as you talk and work with more people is really important, because you might start out working with some people who just have a more traditional or conventional view of the landscape. It really comes down to they're not necessarily familiar with other ways of landscaping, of maintaining their landscape. They might be really concerned about maintenance. The low maintenance question comes up all the time. It's the most common request I get in landscapes. And of course, there are ways to make a permaculture landscape quite low maintenance. And we could get into that at another time. That's some of the technical piece behind design and actual implementation on the ground. But as you work with more people, you might start working with somebody who they do want some hydrangeas, they do want, some crabapple trees, or maybe you could start to see like, oh, well, they're actually these similar looking shrubs that produce fruit, or maybe you'd like some blueberries instead in this sunny location, and maybe you'd also enjoy having some apple trees versus just crab apples. Is that something you'd be interested in? It's working in, like, seeing where the really close connections are to start to thread permaculture into the landscape for people, and see that it's really, really easy to start to have this edible landscape. And this is also how you build long-term relationships. Marketing and sales is about building a relationship. Like, we are here together building a community so that we can make permaculture a more mainstream thing in the world. You're building community in your area and also online, and in your personal, in face-to-face life, so that you can enjoy the fruits of your labor of building those relationships over time, so people trust you, you have a great relationship. And it's not about working for your friends all the time, because being a professional consultant, there is that separation. It's a distinction. You have to be careful not to confuse working for a friend for going outside of your normal scope of work. It's a different relationship being a professional working with somebody, even if they're a friend or a family member. And people really respect that when you have those boundaries. You don't need to put up walls and say, like, we can't be friends right now because I'm working working for you. It's about, like, this meeting time is I'm the professional, you're the client. And then outside of that, yeah, we can hang out and have fun. So it's also about, what I'm talking about is taking opportunities that come your way. It's an important piece of starting a successful business. I guarantee that all of you have opportunities to make money doing permaculture related landscape work, if that's what you're interested in doing, right under your nose. This recent design that I did, that we went through the webinar with Dan, that provided 2 months worth of income pretty much for me. And that was somebody I've known since I was 4 years old who was really interested in permaculture landscaping. And I used to think that, well, that means I'm not really a real business owner or successful business person, because I'm just working with people who I know personally and who already know me. So I need to be able to convert somebody that I just met into a sale to really be a successful business person. That is not at all how it works, and that's a sure way to frustrate yourself and confuse other people. Because if you're coming out of the gate with, hey, will you hire me? That's not an actual, throughout human history and evolution, we never had experiences like that where someone was like, hey, you give me this. And, like, people traded and stuff, but they often had a relationship outside of that. And it's really important to establish that personal connection with people before you're trying to do something professionally with them. It starts with the personal. It starts with yourself and doing the personal work, like I talked about the other day. It starts with personal connection with people, and then that grows into the actual flowering and fruition, which is the marketing and then actually making the sales, if we're going to look at it like a fruit tree. So you can leave concerns about getting stuck or cornered into a certain service behind. If you start doing rain gardens or pollinator gardens, that's just one tool in your toolbox that you provide. It's one service in your suite of services that you're offering to people. And by no means does that mean you're stuck. It's your choice whether you want to do just that or add things on. And like I said, it's about finding those opportunities in someone's landscape. People are not always, in fact, they're rarely going to know exactly what they want in their landscape. It's up to you to provide suggestions based on your professional observations, your expertise, what you think would work for their site, for their lifestyle, what their goals are. And that starts by understanding people, and having that personal relationship allows you to learn more about people and where they're at, what they're doing, what they really want, before you're making any kind of offer to them. And a friend of mine recently posted something about and Greg Meyer, another friend in this group, talks about you need to have multiple touch points, multiple interactions with people before you make a sale. Most sales in business are made between the 5th and the 12th contact between you and another person. And so that's not just a contact about, hey, do you want this? Hey, do you want this? Hey, do you want this? That's not at all what it's about. Get creative with your interactions with people. Send them a handwritten letter. Drop off some tomatoes on their front doorstep. Say hi to them at church. Invite them out for a cup of coffee just to chat or on a walk. Say hi to them when you see them out gardening in their yard. It's stuff like that. It's not about calling them up and saying, hey, do you want to work together now? But you can definitely invite people to a conversation related to what you do by talking about gardening, say, and just asking them casual questions around that. It's a great way to open up the conversation towards something that's a professional relationship if you're looking to take it in that direction with somebody. So focus on what you want to be doing for people and work more of that into your bread and butter work. So if you're doing just pollinator landscapes, maybe that person also might want a culinary herb garden out of their back step. They might want to start with some rain barrels, or although I think rain barrels are a little bit silly because they always overflow. But they might want a veggie garden as well, or they might want a fruit tree because a fruit tree provides even more forage at certain times of year for pollinators, for the density of flowers per area. It's stuff like that. Like, think outside the box. Think about how can we work pollinators into more of the stuff that I want to do rather than just planting like wildflower gardens, for example. So I hope you guys got something great out of this. Let me know if there's anything that came up for you, anything that stood out that was really important, that really made a difference from what I'm talking about today. If there's something about marketing and sales in your business that you'd like to talk more about and get some clarity on, feel free to reach out, leave a comment here, or PM me, and we can talk about that some more. And also, I do have a couple spots for mentorship open if you'd like to explore that. And it's a non-committal discovery call that we get on where we just learn about each other and see if it might be a good fit based on where you're at, what you're looking to do. So have a wonderful weekend, everybody. I will see you around the group. I'm out of town right now, but I will be back very soon. Can't wait to be hanging out and interacting more. Talk to you later.